Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone here that's able to view us this morning. We've got a training lined up on filling out the USDA crop and weather report. And for those of you who don't know, I'm Greg Bazar. I'm the Assistant Program Leader for Ag and Natural Resources. And joining me is Greg Matley, who's the Indiana State Statistician, and Jessica Klatt, who is the statistician located in Michigan who is responsible for putting together all the reports that she gets each week. So Greg, I'm going to start off with you. I know a lot of the educators know you because you're just about every trade show there is and out in the state quite a bit. But tell us a little bit why these reports are so important.
Well, if you've been following the media, whether it be the social media or the ag web or any type of media, everyone's wanting to know what USDA is going to say about, well, today the crop planting intentions and the crop stocks. Mm-hmm. And starting next week we'll be starting the crop weather report, crop progress and condition report, and every Monday everyone wants to know what's happening in the United States as far as the condition of the crop, progress of the crop, how much has been planted, all different types of information, and it's the only source of that information. So, and coming from USDA gives it some validity.
Well, and recently, wasn't it the winter wheat condition that influenced the wheat market?
Yes, it all,
because they're reporting earlier than we are out
west.
Right,
they started reporting, back a couple months ago, mm-hmm. and we're starting now, even though you look and like, well, there's not any corn planted in Indiana yet, but some years we do have corn planted by the end of March, but this year it could be a little later, and that's what we have the information for. Yeah, it's all to help take the uncertainty out of the marketplace. Mm-hmm. Everything is driven to the marketplace, and whenever there's uncertainty, the volatility in the prices can go up and down very dramatically, as we've seen with hogs earlier in the year.
Yeah, well, and you see this time and time again, especially as you said, like during planting time, during harvest, throughout the year, what that condition rating is will move the market, and the traders as well as producers watch that very closely.
Yeah, they're all speculating on what's going on.
Sure.
And even though it is information provided on a weekly basis, it's been that way for years. So yeah, it's the same report every week.
Mm-hmm. I think the other thing that I always think of are researchers, not only here at Purdue University, but also at Michigan State and throughout the other land-grant universities, who use that information to compile. I know Bob Nielsen uses it on the planting progress and how it correlates to yield, harvest, flowering, all those kinds of things.
Right. Chris Hurt does the same thing, and he'll come up with a yield forecast long before the August crop report when NASP makes their first yield forecast. Mm-hmm. So, and that condition of the crop, it drives that yield forecast for those universities and their models all the way through the crop. It's something they look at every week, and they can't wait to update their models to get actually a U.S. yield and as well as a state yield.
Right, and then they can look back over 10 years time period or whatever and get some correlation there. I think the other thing that's really important for you guys is that just like taking soil tests, you get as many contributions to that soil test or probes as you can, and that's why it's important for all of our educators to be involved with it.
Right. We're trying to get the most number of reports we can by county without putting a burden on a lot of people, and we're not going after a lot of people, but people that do have a base knowledge. Mm-hmm. And the educators are a prime example of that base knowledge. Jessica, she's not going to be out in Indiana maybe one or two times throughout the year. Yeah. So she's relying on the one up there in Michigan writing our crop weather report on all of our educators here in Indiana to provide her data
Yeah.
and comments on what's happening in Indiana. Because I'm only one person. I can travel a lot throughout the state, which I do, but I cannot get to every county every week. So that's why we're thankful that we have educators in every county helping us fill out
Most
the reports.
counties.
Most counties.
Right. Okay. Well, you want to go ahead and get started?
Sure, let's go ahead and get started with our PowerPoint presentation. And the purpose of the survey is to provide a weekly crop progress and condition report based on current information that's provided on a week-to-week interval, and it shows the condition of the crop and how it changes in the stage of development throughout the growing season. And we've already mentioned, it's the best source available. And if everyone remembers the 2008 flood or the drought in 2012, the crop progress report played an integral part in that whole process. Or 2010, we had extremely early planting, and then the very next year in 2011, we had late plantings. And of course, last year, the exceptional growing conditions. And the only reason we know we had phenomenal yields is because of our weekly crop weather report showed the condition of the crop maintaining its condition all the way through the growing season. So that's basically the survey purpose, is so that we know what's going on out in the rural areas of the United States. And we've talked about this many times, Greg, that you don't have to be an agronomist to fill out the report. You just need to pay attention to the conditions in your county, in your area, and that's really all that need to be.
Well, and that brings up a good point, because do you want educators to think of the entire county, or maybe like you often use the example, when you drive to work, you kind of correlate what's going on there?
Yeah, example, like I live in southern Tippecanoe County, so when I drive to work, I'm covering the southern half. Now, Tippecanoe County, there's not a lot of variability between the north half and the south half of Tippecanoe County, so I let that south half represent the north half as well. Mm-hmm. So when I'm driving into work every day, I'm noticing what's going on in the field or the routes that I'm taking every time I come into work. And if I say I live in town, if I lived in town, then I would probably call on a few farmers that I know in the areas. And some of your new educators, they might not know the county very well. They just moved there. This would be a great opportunity for them to get out, get to know some farmers, try to find some farmers in different areas of the county, and call them on a weekly basis, or put them on,
Right. Not only farmers, but also folks that are involved with the fertilizer industry, chemical applicators.
Yep.
They have a really good read, because they know the number of farmers they have, they know what products going out. And when I was in the county, oftentimes I'd be visiting with them and just say, hey, how much corn you got planted, do you think?
Yeah, those are all great advice as well. I always just travel 3 or 4 routes.
Yeah.
So that's enough. Jessica, anything to add?
No, I think that what you guys both have mentioned is very important. When I look at it, I'm taking in the entire county, so it's helpful for me to know where all of the information is coming from, and that the numbers that I am getting are representative of the whole county. So.
And each week we send out a crop weather reminder via email to let you know that the system's ready for you to go ahead and enter your data, and that usually comes out usually at 9 o'clock on Thursday night.
Yep.
For the most
That's
part.
correct.
So unless we run into some technical difficulties, but it'll be out there. And inside that email message, you'll have a link that'll tell you the crop weather, how to just click on that link, and it'll take you right to the crop weather page. It's very convenient to report. Friday through Monday, takes less than 10 minutes to report. You don't need to answer every question if you don't know the answer.
Or if it's not applicable to your
Not
county.
applicable. Data from the previous week is available for a reference, so that's why you need to report every week, so that you remember
Which you
what
reported.
reported you last week. So, and it's very easy. We'll go in through it here in a little bit, but it's not that difficult. We need to report by Monday morning at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. If you need a password or any other instructions, you can call the 1-800 number that's out there, or you can email NASS Regional Field Office. That's what the RFO stands for, Great Lakes Region at nass.usda.gov. Or you can write down this phone number, 517-324-5324. That's Jessica's number, so that's the number you need right there.
Yeah.
She'll take care of any problems you may have. Just want to thank everyone for all their help throughout the year on this. So now let's go to the crop weather page. Whenever you click on your link, the first thing you'll notice is that you need to change your state to Indiana, and you need to make sure that it is on crop weather. The other options over there are cotton ginnings, which we don't have, or hatchery reports. So change it to Indiana. Make sure it's on crop weather. Make sure you use your username as in lowercase and your password. Now, to get in the system, you would have had to contact us already to get a username and password. If you forget your username and password, give Jessica a call or email her. She's always there to help.
What happens? We have a few educators that cover a couple counties. Would they report for both counties?
They can report for both counties.
Okay.
And when they report, they can choose to just do one report to cover both counties, or they can do 2 separate reports.
Okay.
If they want to do a single report, then that's something they would have to contact me about, and then I can set up their account
Set up their
to
account
do that.
so they'd have Stark Pulaski together, whatever. Okay.
Right. So once you have your name and password in there, it's pretty simple. You click on the continue button, and it'll take you right to the crop weather where you fill out your survey report. Now notice it says this was March 2nd, 9:30 a.m. That was for last month when I put the PowerPoint together. So, but we're going to go through the top radio buttons up top. We're going to go through before we go into the actual survey. If you forget what the survey process actually is, there's the broad definition we have for the survey process. And notice on the second line it said it's a non-scientific survey. It's everyone's best opinion.
There are no bad answers.
There is no right. There are not any bad answers, and even if you think you give a bad answer, it's not a bad answer.
Yeah.
You're only representing your county, so that's the only area you're representing of the state. So.
Sure.
And it tells where we have the release comes off at 4 o'clock on the national side. So, and that's when we usually have our state releases prepared at that time as well. The next button is the survey instructions. Everyone wants to know, how do I know what I'm looking for? Is it very short, adequate, surplus? Well, we have the instructions out there that give the description on what we're looking for on the questionnaire. And those will change. Those are out there all year round. So if you're not sure what you're looking at, click on the survey instructions and you can just scroll down through the instructions until you find what you're looking for.
Sure.
Whether it be survey planting or corn planting or soybean planting, stage of development, whatever, it's out there. And also at the very end of that section of survey instructions are the comments. And the comments are very important, especially for our Great Lakes region, being all of our estimates are now basically set up in the Michigan office. Now I get to review them, but all the stats up there, they read these comments every week to know how things are progressing throughout the state. They get an understanding on where there's potential problems at, where there's people that's not been affected, where they've had to do some replanting possibly. It gives them a better picture of what's going on in Indiana without actually being here. So these comments are very important to not just to Jessica as the crop weather statistician, but to our crop statisticians and livestock statisticians as well.
Well, yeah, I can think of times when, one county might have an early frost. It's not a big issue. But when Jessica looks and sees 10 or 15 or 20 counties, all with an early killing frost, it's newsworthy, and the market picks up on those kind of things.
That's exactly right. You have anything you want to add on comments, Jessica?
Sure. The comments are, we also use them for the state releases too. So anytime, like as much detail as you can put in the comments, it's more beneficial to us. It makes it easier for us to write the state releases and be more accurate when we're writing the state releases as a better reflection of what's going on in Indiana. And then, as both of you guys have mentioned, we use them, in our estimate reports as well, to support all of the data that we've collected for our other surveys.
So it's just makes it a lot easier for everyone involved in the system to know what's going on out in the county, because we can't ask 1,000 questions on the questionnaire. We're just trying to get the important ones. And if there's something that's happening specifically in your county that you think is newsworthy to us, we want to know about it. So, and that way, you can address anything in the comment area. Those comments stay within our office, so you don't have to worry about it.
And you can talk about things that are not on the survey also. So if, like for Indiana, we don't ask a lot of questions or any questions about fruit, but if you wanted to include something that you think is important about what's going on with the fruit part of Indiana, then that would be good to put in there.
And vegetables as well. We don't ask a lot of vegetable questions, and there's certain counties that are
It's a big deal. Yeah.
very big in vegetable production. So when we hit those comments, those always help out for us as well. The next radio button is technical support. I think we've given you Jessica's number, so that's the first person I would call if I had any problems at all. And then the OMB statement pretty much says that a typical response should average 10 minutes. So, that's what they say, and that's what we say. So now let's click on the survey button and open up a questionnaire to see what it looks like. And this is what a typical questionnaire would look like. You have your crop weather survey date at the top, shows your user number, which corresponds to your user ID, and then your previous reported data. The first question we usually ask is days suitable for field work. This has to be a whole number, so you want to make sure that you don't put 4.5 whole numbers. If they're able to work the majority of the day, then we want that day counted as a whole day. The next part is topsoil moisture. We give very short, adequate, surplus. Those have to add up to 100. Now, some of us have problems with math on Monday mornings.
But it'll tell you.
It'll tell you, yeah. If you don't add up to 100, you'll get an error and says, go back to question number 2. Right. It does not add to 100. Yeah. So we try to make it with some edit checks in there so that it tells you exactly what question you failed to reach 100 at.
Right.
And it still happens to me every once in a while. Yeah. So, and then subsoil moisture. And then this is just an example. Corn condition, very poor, fair, good, excellent. All those have to add to 100. So, pretty straightforward at that point. And, probably the next week you'll have percent corn planted or soybeans planted. That is the whole percents to the nearest one digit, 21%, 20, 23, 1. For corn, soybeans, and then it's very important to put your survey contact name in there. So if Jessica has a problem, she knows who to talk to when she calls to ask, hey, what happened here? Or more detail in your comments, or we don't understand what this comment means.
Sure.
Things like that. And then in the very last one, you get to enter your comments. Planting made good progress early in the week, but rain on Thursday kept farmers out of the fields. Throughout the weekend, standing water in low-lying areas may result in some replant. That's a nice little comment for Jessica. Your survey time frame is we send it out on Friday. You have till Monday morning at 9:30. The survey reference ends Sunday night. So I always fill mine out Monday morning. when I get to work. So
It's a whole lot better now than
But
in
long-
in the
in the
old
old
days
days, yeah.
when you had to fill it out on Friday and get it in the mail and
right, having the web
the electronic. was just-
electronic has
Yeah.
made this thing just so much simpler and
Right.
easier and
Right.
very quick to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica may not agree, but she's only known the web version. So,
That's true.
and then, as we said, for technical support, if you have any troubles other than Monday or Friday or whenever you're looking at crop weather, Jessica's the number to call. But 800 number's there. The release comes out at 4 o'clock. We try to have our report out there right at 4 o'clock as well. So the state release. And I think now you have, if you want to ask me more questions.
Yeah,
or
Jessica, do you have anything to add?
anything to add.
The only thing I can think of would be we prefer for people to do their reports on Monday. If there was a higher preference of a day, that would be it, because that way you have seen the entire week. You're not trying to forecast for a couple of days. So I think it would be better to try and report on Monday, and then just a reminder that they're due at 9:30.
Yeah.
So at 9:30 we start working on them.
I think it's nice, though, to have that, let's say you're going into a fair, you're not going to be able to
Yeah.
get to the computer on that time frame, or you're going on vacation to know, I'll send it on Friday.
Right.
Or Sunday night.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
Yeah.
you can have access to it at any time
right.
via the web. So if you want to do it Sunday night, you can do it Sunday night.
I do have one question that's come in. I'd also say if any of you do have questions, or I've asked one educator to actually call in to add his remarkable history on crop reporting, but now's the time to do that. I guess we're also having some technical difficulties with the streaming portion of this. This is going to be archived, cleaned up, and we'll get that information out to everyone, because I know there were several people that couldn't join us today. Should we share what parts of the county we are reporting on? Better to remain consistent on what area you're reporting on. I think by that, the individual means if they can't get to the entire county, is it better to say I'm reporting from the northern part of the county? Or my thoughts reflect that?
They can add that. I mean, the more information that I have, the better it is for me to do my estimates.
Okay.
So if they wanted to add that extra detail, that would be helpful, yeah.
Yeah, I think anytime they can add information that makes it more precise on what happened in their county, especially when we get into the inclement weather where we have tornadoes, hailstorms, things of that nature. The more detail you can provide, the better off we are, for us anyway. We can never have enough detailed information.
Yeah. I think it's a good point. I mean, I think, filling out the report was always, I guess, fairly easy. But writing the comments, I think that's where it takes a little bit of time to make sure that you try to reflect little things like, we've had 4 days of intense wind, sprayers have been shut down, or, whatever.
Yeah, those are comments about whether it's wind, rain. Sometimes the southern half of the county may not get the rain that the northern half
Sure.
receives. So any type of extra details you can give,
Okay.
that is always important.
I believe we have a caller. Brad, are you out there?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay. Brad Colhagen is one of 2 of our A&R educators that had 100%.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and got a huge monetary gift because of that. But no, I'm kidding you, Brad.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah, the check's in the mail. No, I guess I wanted him to just tell us a little bit how he, does it, and anything that he might add to what we've mentioned. So go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, there's, like I say, the biggest thing I'd have to say is there's no right or wrong answers, and I think you learn the more you fill it out. In terms of doing it, I guess I try to do it on like Sunday night. That kind of really close to that. For some reason, yeah, I'm Sunday night. I'm home. Go to the computer and get that done then, and that works out pretty good. Sometimes I think the biggest challenges that I find is like progress on wheat, maybe the progress on corn later on in the different stages of it. But I guess that gets you out in the field to stop in on the way to work here and there on the field and check things out. I think that's a good learning experience. The other thing that I was going to add is I get everything's okay.
Yeah, you're back with us.
Okay. I get the email.
Oh, Brad?
Yes. Yes.
Turn your computer down.
Okay.
All right, now try it. Hello?
Yes.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Email report I get every Monday afternoon. That is very helpful, I guess. I think you can look at that, especially as a new educator, and know what you filled out, and kind of learn and say, kind of put you in a little bit of a ballpark figure of where you're at. A lot of times I always like to compare my answers with the rest of the state too, and so I kind of do that, especially when I get that report Monday afternoon for that next week, especially if there's things I'm not really sure about. Obviously, after filling this out, about 15 years now, I kind of always sometimes look at it and think, wow, the rest of the state is off a little bit. But no, I think those are just some other helpful hints that I would add.
Yeah, you bring up a great point, though, something I think that we neglected, that when you get that call from the local newspaper or you're going to do a radio show, having that report behind you adds a lot more credibility to what you're saying versus, if you just go in and say, well, I think it's 10% planted, I think that's okay when you talk about the county, but when you look at the entire state, knowing that you have that USDA report behind you can add that credibility. And then, like I said, these comments that you read in that report, then you can use also. So it's a great resource for us to use in the field.
Yeah, I'd really echo exactly what you're saying. I think it even helps me just learn things as we progress through the growing season also. I mean, learning that stuff in the report and comments around the state, even comparing things from northern Indiana, like I say, we don't maybe get to the other part of the state too, and so it's a good reflection of kind of what's going on. And especially when I find myself talking to farmers, I may say, hey, well, the crop report this or this, so that just it really helps in a lot of discussion and different meetings as you go progress throughout the summer.
Okay. All right, Brad. Well, I appreciate your comments, and thanks for calling in.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, Greg, Jessica, anything to wrap it up?
Well, Brad brings up a good point in that, the report he gets every week at Monday at 4 o'clock, you can subscribe out there on the NASNet and subscribe to the Indiana Crop Release. So if you have not done that.
Or you can also go online to the NAS website, and from there you can look at not only Indiana's, but if you want to look at Illinois. I find it interesting when I look at those. Tennessee, the individual actually have quotes from extension educators, what their comments were and who made those comments.
Yeah, it's really a really neat report if you look at it every week. I mean, all the information that is collected and gathered each and every week throughout the growing season.
Mm-hmm.
and it makes it much easier for us as NAS and to have information based on down to the county level, so people can see validate that we are getting information from every county.
Yep. Do we have any other questions? If you do, get them emailed into me. I do want to, mention again that we're going to be archiving this. I can't give you how that's going to connect, but once we get that done here in the studio, I'll get that information out to everyone.
And if if you want to send the PowerPoint out to people as well, we can
Sure,
leave the PowerPoint with you, and you can have that as well.
we can do that. Jessica, anything else to add?
I don't think so. I think this has been pretty well covered.
Well, I appreciate you coming down, and good luck to the Spartans. Michigan State this week, as well as Wisconsin. And I think that's going to be a wrap then. So thanks again for taking time out to be with us for this training on filling out the USDA crop report.
Thank you.